And welcome again to Cottage Talk. I'm Russ Goldman. Joining me right now is Max Cohen and Yanis Joneas. Yes, we are back together to talk about this massive 2-1 victory for Fulham against Newcastle United at St. James's Park. I look forward to talking to the guys about this match probably for the next hour. If you're watching live, feel free to share your comments and who was man of the match. I'm curious what everyone thinks about was man of the match. I do want to mention to please do subscribe to the Cottage Talk YouTube channel. I'm really trying to push this. I would really appreciate that. We got some good amount of numbers, but I'd like to see if we can get up to 1,000. We got about 740 guys. I'd like to see if we can get 1,000 people subscribed on the YouTube channel. It's just a good way for people to watch the show. All right, guys, let's not waste any time. First, Mr. Cohen, how you doing?
Doing great, Russ. Always happy to be on the pod. And what a great win. We don't win at Newcastle very often. Last time we won there was in the championship. Last time in the Premier League, it was 16 years ago. So
yeah,
really famous away day. And, credit to that second half transformation. We didn't show up against United last week, really disappointing. And the way we played in that second half is just the Marco Silva way. And I can't wait to analyze it. And credit to Muniz. He scores big goals this season. And he's won matches at Chelsea, Newcastle, got a goal at Anfield too. He's a great option off the bench, and we're all lucky to have him, I think.
I agree, Max. And before I go to Giannis, the one thing that I want to talk about to start the show, we got a lot to get through in this show, is I think there's actually a common denominator because I said for the longest time Fulham were just front runners, Max, that they like to play from ahead. What would happen if they get behind? Well, now we have 3 matches that Fulham have won from behind, and they're interesting ones. We're talking about the Brentford match, the Chelsea match, and now this match. What are your thoughts about actually Fulham being able to come from behind like this?
Yeah, it was impressive. I think that far from what we normally see, which is when we start the second half really poor, we started the second half as a dominant team. So credit to Marco Silva for getting the reaction out of the players. I think that have to do the center midfield again. I think when we control the center, we're just a much better team. And
we're definitely going to talk about that, man.
They were impressive.
Very much so. Very much so.
And quickly, Castagna, it's a tale of two halves. We were talking about this before we went live, but when he takes the match to the other fullback and forces his winger back, that's when he's best. And when he's under the cosh against a player of Gordon's quality, he couldn't cut it. But it's almost like that old saying, like, you make your own luck. And when we're pressing forward, pushing the other team back, it hides the weaknesses of Castagna, and that's when we were best. And he was playing like right wing, center forward. I mean, the positions he got in that second half were insane. I think that's credit to Marco Silva, because instead of saying, hey, let's be more defensive, he said, I'm going to put my player who maybe had the worst half and give him free reign. And I don't think many managers can do that in the Prem.
That's a great point, Max. And we'll be talking about that throughout this show, because I think the play of Castagna in the second half compared to the first half is a major part of this victory. Like you said, there was a definite purpose in the second half, a definite change into what Fulham did from the first half to the second half. The same system, but came out with a different intensity. And like you said, a different Castagna in the second half. So I'm glad that you brought that up. Mr. Joneas, how you doing? Give us your opening thoughts.
I'm fantastic today. I mean, wonderful to knock off that tsunami. It was, what I got to say. I mean, first half, I didn't think we were so bad.
No, I don't either.
No, but second half, he must have said something to them at half time or put something in their coffee, because we came out on fire. And when we got the equaliser, I thought we really deserved it. And then for Rodrigo to get the winner is excellent. It's the longest away trip of the season for the fans, and to go up to St James's Park, where places was very difficult to get anything, and get 3 points, especially after last week's disappointing result against Man U. We really should have got something out of that. So it's great, and then it sets us up for next week, where we've got Forest, and it's a game that I fancy us winning.
I do too, Giannis. I'm going to say it right now. I'm calling our shot right now. I think that we have a very good chance to beat Forest. I agree with you on that.
Yeah, I really do. So overall, very pleased with the performance, and we go above Brighton. And if we can get something next week, we'll be not far off the European spots.
how quickly things change. I want to go back to Giannis because we're going to talk throughout this match about both halves, especially when we break them down. And I've seen this over and over again, talking about a tale of two halves for Fulham. I talked to a few Fulham supporters that said, well, Fulham were not that good in the first half. We're actually poor. I don't think they were poor, Giannis. What I think happened, and I think that they were in full control, I think, for the majority of the match. The thing was that they had no cutting edge in the first half. There were a lot of crosses in the box that really went nowhere. So, but if you listen to Eddie Howe, Giannis, this is why I want to start here. Eddie Howe, I listened to BBC Newcastle. He talked about the match and especially about the first half. And he said that they were fortunate to be up at the half because they did not have control, Giannis. So I think that's what's getting lost here. Fulham had control in the first half. They just did nothing with it. Second half, they played with much more purpose, and that was the difference for me, Giannis. What are your thoughts about Fulham really having control? Fulham dictated the play. They played on their terms.
Yeah, it's interesting that Coach House said that because
yeah, he did.
As a coach, you can have games where you have a lead and you just go, I'm just not feeling it today. We're there, but we're not there. There's something missing. There's something not quite right. And maybe it was a premonition on his part. But I think in the first half, Anthony Gordon was excellent. He was giving us all sorts of trouble. And we looked a little sorry for ourselves considering the performance last week. As well, in the final third, we talked the whole week about, we've got to create chances, we've got to put our chances away. And we weren't doing that. It almost looked like we were having another nightmare. And we needed a little bit of luck. I was sitting there watching the game, so somebody, ball off somebody's bum, or it doesn't really matter how it goes in. And what led to our equaliser was a little bit of luck, and I think we deserved that on the day. I think we deserved it on the day last week, to be honest. And Man U had the piece of luck, so right. It was. It's don't care what anyone says. You can have as much endeavour as you want, and pace and guile and all that, but you do need a little bit of fortune. We got that yesterday, and glad that we did.
All right, very good. Max, I'm going to go back to you in just a second. So I want to get your thoughts on this, but I want to share this from a friend here. He says, disagree about the first half. We could have been 3 down at halftime, talking about the opportunities that Newcastle United had. This is all true. They hit the bar, and Leno made that great save, and that's all true. I was more focusing on how Fulham were dictating the play, but Newcastle United, I want to give them a lot of credit because, again, when they had their opportunities, took advantage of it. They got the goal. They got themselves in decent spots where Fulham really did not. Like I said, they were creating really nothing, but they were dictating the play. I know that sounds weird, Max. I want to get your thoughts on this.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we were dictating the play, frankly. I think that, we might have been comfortable in possession, but nothing in the final third, right?
Fine, comfortable in possession. Okay.
And the thing I keep looking back to is Emil Smith-Rowe. And I didn't notice him on the pitch at all first half. And you can say that for many, many games this season. Second half a bit better. But I think that kind of exemplifies what was happening to us is that, we had good possession maybe in our own defensive third, the middle third. But the final third, really nothing. And Traore was our main outlet, right?
Yeah.
Robinson had a couple runs. He came forward. Iwobi looks very tired. We have to say.
Yeah, it's very strange coming from Alex Iwobi.
Marco mentioned this. I think he plays so much football, and we just don't have a lot of depth in that position. So that I think is what hurt us. We kind of lacked the purpose. And I mean, Gordon was fantastic.
Yeah, he was very good.
But who was quiet was Isak, and I think that he had that one shot off the bar in the second half. Apart from that, I think we deserve a lot of credit for quieting him because
that's a good point.
Has a case he made for one of the top 5 players in the league. He's just superb, and he didn't get going, and I think that's maybe what the game plan was focused around is cut off Isak. Maybe that gave more space to Gordon and the other wingers, but I don't know. First half is weird because we're down 1-0, but we're still very much in the match, and I think that's the most important thing. It's in James's Park is you stay in the game.
Right, and again, maybe I used the wrong phrasing here. Dictating the play, maybe just comfortable in possession is a better way to look at it. So I'm glad that I will give Max credit for that. Very good there, Max. I do want to share this from Steve Reynolds. Is Giannis limited to a tariff during the podcast? That's very funny. Very funny that we're going to talk about tariffs. But again, let's keep politics out.
We're hurting. It's going to be I'm glad Steve's actually mentioned it because it's an ugly. This is really ugly. This putting 25 on us and the Mexicans, and then because now here, I think Prime Minister Trudeau announced last night a bunch of tariffs. It's sad, really sad state of affairs.
Okay.
But
okay, I had to share that.
Point.
But
It's a good point, Steve. But no, I'm not being charged yet. That will depend on Russ.
No, I would never put a tariff on Giannis. Steve, you never have to worry about that on Cottage Talk. You never have to. Don't worry about that, Steve. But let's move on, guys. Let's go to my section I call the good, the bad, and who won the coaching battle. So, Max, I'll go to you first. There are some really good things to talk about in this match. Like I said, it could be a player, it can be a moment. I'll let you get us started. Where would you want to start with the good in this match?
I actually want to shout out Traore.
Okay.
Adama Traore. His pass in the build-up to the first goal to Anthony Robinson, I think is one of the best passes I've seen played all season by a Fulham player because he's going full pelt. The counterattack's on, and I think 9 times out of 10, Traore would just put his head down and take that touch to the right byline. But he lifts his head up and finds Robinson perfectly in a pass. I think when he hit it, I would say all the fans watching the match are probably thinking, what is he doing? Right? Because it wasn't immediately clear exactly who that was going to go to. It falls right on Robinson's foot. He puts in the great assist to Jimenez. We get the goal. But that kind of build-up play, that kind of composure and just taking your head up and seeing what other players don't see, I was delighted by Traore. And I thought he was very good all match. He's getting his moment to start. He played, I think, the longest I've ever seen him play. We took Iwobi off first before Traore. And I don't think I've ever seen a situation when he lasted, more than 60, 70 minutes when he started. And I was just really impressed with his overall play. So I'll shout out Adama Traore.
Okay. We're going to talk about Jimenez in just a second. Giannis, I have to go back to you because I got a comment I want to share with you. First, Jimenez was superb yesterday. He was everywhere. Let's talk about that. But here's one. Our friend here is living in Toronto. So I just thought I would share that with you.
Yeah, I'm west. I'm in Burlington, so I'm not too far. I'm not far at all. Hi, Sahel. Yeah, in Burlington, where it's been snowing and it looks a little miserable outside. So Sahel, keep an eye out in case we get the big T thrown at us. He's probably got after the actually, and it's funny because now I'm reading this morning all the American booze is we have something called liquor stores here.
Yep.
LC Beer, yeah. So our premier Dougie Ford has decided he's going to take all the American liquor and beer off the shelves. Luckily, I don't drink.
Okay, Giannis, I want to get your thoughts on talking about Adama, and then I want to transition and talk about Jimenez because our friend here mentions Jimenez, and Jimenez was everywhere, especially in the second half. So let's focus on those two players. I'm curious your thoughts.
I thought both of them were excellent yesterday. Adama really did a good job. I thought he did a good job tracking back, actually. Got to give him credit for that. And Jimenez started and finished the move for the goal. He's going to have to understand. Oh, he's in North York. I'm just seeing Sahel's comment about the LCB already unstocking. The thing about Jimenez, he's going to have to get used to, whether he likes it or not, is you've got Muniz on the bench, and Muniz is going to get playing time most, if not all, games. So he comes off like the cat that's just lost his teddy bear, but the fact is that you've got to give both strikers a go. And that goal by Muniz was absolutely superb.
Yes.
So deft. It shows the value of having twin strikers. And really, with Jimenez's experience, he should be thankful that he's starting. He's doing a tremendous job, mind. And then Muniz comes in and gives 20, 25 minutes of, battle ram, and not a Boubacar Kamara either, battle ram, as in we're going to, put ourselves about. First touch is going to be good, win battles in the air and do sneaky things. And that was a sneaky little goal. Newcastle defenders all looking at each other going, what's just happened? Very funny, by the way. Yep. It is, because they've got a level of arrogance up there. I care a little.
No, not at all. Not at all.
I mean, only game in town up there. But right. No, I thought both players were excellent yesterday. I tip my hat to Jimenez. I think he
He played
considering-
great.
Yeah, he really did. The injury he came back from, and he worked so hard, and he's a true goal scorer in the sense that he loves to score goals. So it was a nice goal, and the equaliser was well deserved because I thought we played very well in the second half up to that point.
Absolutely. And we're going to talk about the second half, and I'll be mentioning Jimenez a lot when we talk about that because I thought he was very important. And I'll also talk about Castaña's change in the second half, but we'll get to that in a little bit. I want to share this and get Max's thoughts about this because I've actually been clamoring a little bit for Cesc to possibly play as a left winger, and I know our friend Dan Crawford has as well, Max. So I'm going to share this comment from Stephen Murray. Could it be time to let Cesc have a start on the left wing and give Iwobi a rest? What do you make of that?
I love it. I was thinking the same thing yesterday, and he actually that's who he came on for, right? That's where he was playing.
Yes, that's who he came on for. Yeah,
15
absolutely.
Minutes. Now he didn't do anything.
No.
If you tell me what did Ryan Sessegnon do in the 15 minutes on the pitch, I don't think he did a single thing. That's not an insult to him. That's just a fact. He's getting up to speed. He's not there yet, but I love it as an option.
Okay.
I just don't know where Sessegnon is. Frankly, I think we saw him in the cup against Watford. That was 3 or 4 weeks ago, and he looked good. But I'm not really exactly sure what his Palace has just scored against United, I assume.
Yeah.
I don't know. My roommate's a big Palace fan. I don't know what Cesc offers, frankly.
Okay.
I want him to be the player which we love from 5, 6, 7 seasons ago, but in his current iteration with all the injuries, hamstring injuries, and the level of defending the Premier League, I'm not really sure.
Okay.
But I'd say there's no reason not to, right? Give it a try.
Okay.
Everyone else is injured.
Well, you know what? Like our friend here says, we'll probably see him in the cup, and I don't think that's a bad move. I do want to share this, guys, because I'm going to put in the good category our central midfield duo of Berg and Lukic, because I thought they were the difference makers in this match. We're going to talk about all the other players, but without the two of them, I think Fulham don't get this victory. So I want to share this comment from Colin Bugler. Another good, Sasa Lukic not picking up his 10th yellow. I think that's important as well. But I want to go to you, Max. Your thoughts on Berg and Lukic, because I thought they were excellent.
They were good. I think there are so many times during that second half when we were pressing on, when I think Berg in particular would just receive the ball, and it seems like he had so much space in front of him, and he was just driving into it. And I think that's just credit to his movement, the way Marcus set us up. But it was a strong center midfield. They made Guimaraes and Joe Linton look very average, frankly. And I think Newcastle has a lot of hyped up players in that center of the park.
I know.
Tonali as well. All Joe Linton did all match was foul us 10,000 times. Guimaraes, I was very impressed by. Tonali had a good shot. Don't know what else he did. And that midfield trio probably cost what? 200 million pounds, under 50 million pounds. I mean, it's
crazy
the money they have up there.
Right.
And we shut them up. We shut them up in a massive way.
Right. And I want to go to you, Giannis, because I listened to a lot of podcasts before the match, a lot of them being Newcastle, and I kept hearing about how great their central midfield is. It's probably the best in the Premier League. This is the kind of talk I was hearing. Now, I knew it was very good going into it, but I had a feeling that Berg and Lukic would be up for the task, and they succeeded big time, Giannis. That's why I'm putting them in the good category, and I don't think Fulham get the victory without Berg and Lukic. I want to get your thoughts.
Yeah, they tighten the ship, don't they? They make things tick. They keep it very solid and structured and organised. And the point that Colm made about not picking up his 10th yellow is a big one. It's a huge one. That means he gets to play. He gets to play against Forest, which should be a great atmosphere. I mean, they're coming in third place, unbelievable, but they're in third place now. So I think Berger and Lukic are an absolute key, and I thought they were very, very good yesterday.
Okay, very good, guys. All right, obviously we have a lot to put in the good category. Let's move to the bad, okay? And I think we're going to start with Castaña here, Max. But I just want to preface this with he was very bad in the first half, and Anthony Gordon roasted him. But in the second half, it improved. But I think that's where I want to start. Let's talk about him being in the bad category, but I think he redeemed himself in the second half.
Yeah, I think that's exactly the right way to put it, is that in this match, he didn't know how to defend Anthony Gordon at all, but then grew into the game. Actually, I remember one situation, second half, when he actually did a sliding tackle when it looked like Gordon had totally beat him, and he perfectly timed it. Should have won a throw in. The ref got it wrong. But yeah, just completely changed his entire game. The goal was awful because already on 2 or 3 occasions, Gordon had beat him for pace, right? And as a right back, when you have a left winger who's just absolutely abusing you, the last thing you want to do is dive in within your own half, right? In the attacking half. And that's what he did in the goal. And it's like he overcorrected in the opposite way. If you're getting beat for pace, you drop off and you give him more respect. But he was on his back and he turned him so easily, and he would never get back in position after that, which was the issue. But second half, he was in the attacking third. He was putting in crosses. I mean, he looked like a player with new confidence, and I think that's impressive, because being a fullback, I think, is a really big confidence game. And when you're not comfortable in your own defending, it's very difficult to go out and attack. But that's exactly what he did. So I'm happy for him. Obviously, Marco Silva says we want a right back. Tete's out for a long time. So, I mean, Castagna has to work on his one-on-one defending for sure.
Okay, very good. Over to you, Giannis. I want to get your thoughts. Like I said, this match is a tale of two halves. I think it's also a tale of two Castagnas. So I want to get your thoughts.
Yeah, Castagna looked off the pace first half. Although Gordon's going to roast most right backs in the league. So fair dues there. I'm not sure he'd have done that to Tete. But second half, he was much improved. I've got to say that. And look, he's the only player we've got that technically could play there. You could put Cuenca there. I haven't heard much mention of putting Cuenca at the right back position. But considering Castagna's just come in and he's not been starting for most of the season until Tete got injured, he's been playing well, and good for him for redeeming himself in the second half. It really is a statement win. I've got to say this to the fans. It's a huge win, because last week, the sign of good teams is teams that bounce back, from adversity. It was a real numbing defeat last week against Man U. We did nothing to deserve the defeat, but we lost. And yet we go to maybe one of the toughest places to play, and we get the 3 points, and that after going a goal down as well. So you got to give just credit, and I think Castagna's second half exemplified the team performance in the second half.
That's right.
We were excellent in the second half, and so I thoroughly deserved 3 points.
Okay, very good, Giannis. I want to go back to you. I want to talk about Anderson. I am going to put him in the bad category, but you know what? Like I said, overall, Fulham did more than enough for the victory. But I mentioned him in my preview show, and I actually went on the Loaded Mag show, and they asked me, "Where's your weakness?" And I said, Fulham's weakness right now is going to be Joachim Anderson because of his lack of pace. I thought it might be an issue here. But again, like in the second half, I thought he was fine. I want to get your thoughts on Joachim Anderson.
Yeah, I don't think he's 100%. I don't think he's 100% from the injury. He does look a little tad slower. But having said that, I thought we had an excellent second half. It's we don't really know the extent of it. Wasn't it a hamstring injury he got?
I'm not sure exactly what it was.
Was it the
calf?
calf?
I think.
Calf.
Calf.
Oh, it was calf. Oh, it was calf. And he's not, he's not been that long. Sometimes it takes some time to get some proper fitness in, and even then it may not be enough. He's playing his way back into full fitness. I think that's what it is.
Okay.
Second half was better with Bassi. You can see they've got the understanding there, and I think don't forget the impact of the loss of Tete on Anderson's play.
That's a good point.
Something that can't be discounted by any means.
Okay, very good. Over to you, Max. I want to get your thoughts on Joachim Anderson, because I was clamoring for starting Diop.
I think that's way too harsh. I don't think Anderson has been as bad as people are making him out to be, frankly.
Okay.
I don't get the anti-Anderson hype that much. I mean, Giannis mentioned the injury. I think that plays a role, but
okay.
I mean, Issa Diop has had a good season, it has to be said.
Yes.
I don't need to remind people the propensity for errors that Issa Diop brings. I mean, I can think of like 5 off the top of my head in terms of when it's playing out the back. I can actually think of the match I was at recently, the Bournemouth home draw, when he literally gave the ball away in the 89th minute in a situation when we were cruising to go for the win. So that's not on for me. I think Anderson, will eventually come good and get better and go back to the level we know he's been at. So he's not been the issue for me.
Okay.
at all.
Okay, very good. All right. Let's finish up this section with talking about the coaching battle. And I think Marco won this hands down. With his substitutions setting the team up, he obviously said something to the team at halftime, which changed Fulham in the second half. And Fulham have traditionally this season, except for a few matches, including this one, started slow at the beginning of the second half. Not this one, completely different team. Marco deserves a lot of credit. Like I mentioned, I listened to the comments of Eddie Howe. And what I've learned from the Newcastle United supporters is that he doesn't make many substitutions. He doesn't really have a plan B. Like Marco doesn't really have a plan B. If he makes changes, they're like for like. So I think Marco won this coaching battle big time. Your thoughts, Giannis?
Big time. I think it's funny. I saw a little interchange between Howe and Isak. He was getting a little bit into Isak's face just before the start of the second half. And Howe admitted afterwards that he just wasn't feeling it. It wasn't feeling right. It's something that was a little bit missing. And I think that often it's down to substitutions, and the substitutions make the difference. You know, when they made the subs, I said, well, okay, Muniz is going to come on for Jimenez. And then I thought TC would come on, but then Pereira came on. Let's give Pereira some credit here. But,
we have to give Pereira credit. I killed Pereira the entire season.
Yeah,
so
Pereira,
definitely give him credit.
Fabulous free kick. Wonderful free kick. I like it. I'm not a Pereira boo boy. I like his mobility, and I'm glad we're going to be keeping him. The best thing when it comes to the transfer window, I know we need reinforcements, but as many players as we keep is the greater the stability. And if we don't lose any players, which it looks like we're not going to lose any first teamers, then I think we've done fine. So all the talk about Pereira going to Palmeiras was maybe a little bit of nonsense. But it's you know, he came off the bench, did a job, and helped get us the win.
Okay, excellent. Max, do you agree with us that Marco won the coaching bout?
Yeah, completely. Eddie Howe didn't have any answers for what happened in the second half, and Marco Silva, as we saw from the quote there, just he made them braver. It's a mentality thing so much. I think that's what made me so frustrated about United, is that we gave them so much respect. I thought we played off them. I thought we played kind of scared. We played it based on the name, and at St. James's Park, when theoretically we should have been much more cautious, we just took the match to them second half. And it's not even that tactical, frankly, guys. Okay. Right? I think it's just terms of when we get the ball, we just, you know, you're more positive with it than just, you know, looking for a long ball, looking for a counterattack. We just had confidence and getting players in attacking positions, committing men forward, runs into the box. I mean, it's not rocket science, but that's what I think changed, is that the players had more belief, and they thought, you know, why not? Why not us? And I think in addition to St. James's Park, it's a huge stadium, but it can get very quiet, and the fans can get on the players a bit. And I think during that 20 to 30 minute spell from 45 minutes until 75 minutes, when I thought we were excellent, it was quiet. There were murmurs, and you just felt the mood shift. In a situation, Old Trafford can get that way too when they're losing. We certainly saw it at the Leicester, at the King Power Stadium, when they were literally booing their own substitutions when we played them. If you can play in a home crowd and get the fans on their own team's back, the players feed off that too.
No, very good, Max. And I'll go back to you, and I'm just going to share my thoughts on Marco. And I think a team takes on the personality of their manager, okay? And maybe Marco didn't see it in the first half because Marco was aggressive. Marco came there to play on the front foot, and we did, okay? It was, again, like I said, it was a controlled possession, as you said, Max, but it wasn't aggressive enough. And he got to them at halftime. Now you got to see, I think, Marco's vision in the second half. So I have to give him a lot of credit. The players had to execute it, but he won this big time, Max. That's why I think he's a big part of the victory, but the players are too, Max.
100%. And let's not forget the two players he put on. You guys mentioned it. Pereira assist, Muniz goal.
That's right.
I think the stat is we either have the most or in the top 3 or 4 teams goals from subs. It's incredible. And that is 100% down to a manager making big calls and knowing exactly who to put on the pitch at the right time. And that was a lovely goal that Muniz scored. And Pereira put it perfectly.
He did. And like I said, I'll be the first to tell you, I've been very critical of his deliveries. Well, he was spot on in this one, and he deserves credit for that. So, yes, I'm going to give Andres Pereira credit. Okay. Before we move on, let's talk about the starting 11. I'm going to tell you right now, guys, is that I actually wanted Diop to start. I'm going to say it. I wanted Diop to start. That was the one thing that I was looking at, but I knew he wasn't going to start Diop, that he was going to start Anderson. So for me, the starting 11 is what I expected it. Giannis, your thoughts?
Absolutely. I thought that it was a starting 11 I was hoping for. We obviously got Lukic and Berg in the middle, and who was going to go out wide? It was going to be Traore. Part of me wondered if maybe Pereira starts instead of Smith Rowe, or even TC. I agree about the notion of Iwobi. I know last week he had a bit of the flu and he wasn't so good. I'm not sure he's completely fully recovered from that. But we've got the FA Cup next week up at Wigan, and I'm hoping that you give a couple of Goddo and King and Sess, give them a little bit of give them a bit of playing time. It shouldn't be a difficult game up there. Wigan are really struggling at the moment. No, I thought the lineup was excellent.
Okay. Over to you, Max. Thoughts on the starting 11?
Yeah, it was good. I think Smith Rowe is a big call in there ahead of Pereira again. You give Traore the start, missing Wilson. But apart from that, I think that was the team we'd expect to see from Marco. And yeah, I mean, I think, Muniz, again, he's going to be pushing for a starting spot, but Jimenez was excellent. So I think he'll have to depend on just coming off the bench for now and proving that he can do it in those small cameos. Now that actually, I think, hurts his case to start, frankly, because the more you score off the bench, the more your manager sees you. I can just bring you off and get a sure thing. And Jimenez is not giving anything up at all in terms of his performance. So,
no, Jimenez, I thought, played very well. He was the player of the match on the Fulham website, just so everyone knows the results came out of that. And I think it's warranted. I actually, believe it or not, guys, I went with Lukic. I was trying to decide between Lukic and Berga just because I thought they controlled the play. That was just my thoughts. Maybe many won't have Lukic up there, but I just wanted to mention him because I was trying to decide between the two of them. I just went with Lukic. I could have said Berga either or for me. But anyways, before we move on to the second half of the show, I have to share this from Steve Reynolds. Also did was to give them a rocket at halftime to play what he planned in the first half. I agree with Steve. I actually talked to Steve earlier this morning. We talked about that. So I'm with you on that. And Chris Goodwin is 100% right, because this is why Russ is not the manager. I should never be a manager, okay? I'm just a loudmouth. I should never be a manager. So, yes, Chris, you are right. Even though you're a Liverpool supporter, you are right there. Okay. All right. Coming up next, guys, we are going to break down both halves, and we'll end with man of the match. Okay, guys, let's get to it. Let's go through the first half, and I'll just share my thoughts in general. Like you guys are talking about, talked to a lot of friends after the match and talked about how bad the first half was. And I think that going back to what Steve Reynolds just commented on, I think the game plan was there. They were controlling possession, as me and Max were talking about. Maybe I shouldn't have said dictating the play, but they were controlling the possession. They were playing the way Fulham wanted to play, but obviously Newcastle United were creating opportunities. As our friend from Toronto was saying, they could have been up a couple more goals. That is true. He is right about that. But I think it also gave us a platform for what we saw in the second half. It took a second half talking to for Marco to get the players in gear. But I thought the foundation was there in the first half. They just weren't executing the plan. So, Max, I'll go to you. Let's talk about the goal from Jacob Murphy that later on in the first half, because I'm not saying it came from out of nowhere, because you have the opportunity from Tonali rocket that hit the crossbar, but now you have the goal. Very disappointing, because I don't think it was really warranted based on the play of Newcastle United, but they did create these opportunities. We were talking off air. Who do you hold responsible for the goal? I'm going to put it on Robinson like you, but others might suggest different player here. What are your thoughts about the goal from Jacob Murphy?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, it's Castagna's fault initially, which we discussed, right?
Yes.
And that he's way too aggressive.
Way too aggressive. That's where he is.
Yeah, I just don't understand why he's literally touch tight to Gordon within Gordon's own defensive half, knowing that he has the pace to burn him. So that was just really amateur defending by Castagna. But once the ball's in that position, I do have to blame Robinson, and I have disagreements with other. My dad says it's the center back's fault, not Robinson. But the way Anthony Robinson comes in, I appreciate as a fullback, you have to shift over in situations when you feel like you only got 3 at the back, right? Because Castanio's up. Castanio's in the other end of Newcastle. He's not even on the pitch as far as we're concerned. So you got 3 defenders. Everyone shifts over a little bit. But Robinson doesn't look once behind him to see Murphy. His eyes are completely trained on the ball, which is just amateur defending. It really is. You have to have one look. Because I understand that he wants to give Bassey protection, and Anderson. But as a fullback, you mark your winger. And Murphy had acres of space, and I think that it was a good finish. Credit to him.
Yes.
But if there's even a slight bit of pressure, even a slight bit of taking away that angle or putting him under some stress, I don't think that's a goal, frankly. The reason he scored is because he had time and space to think about it. And that's definitely frustrating for me to see.
Okay. Over to you, Giannis. I'm glad we're talking about this because good on Max to begin. It starts with Castagna, and I think Castagna learned from this mistake that started the whole situation with playing against Anthony Gordon, who's a very dangerous player. But we're talking about how the goal ends up with being at Jacob Murphy's feet, and he puts it in the back of the net. So are you in agreement with Max and I, or are you disagreeing that we think that we put the responsibility on Robinson?
I still blame Bassey for the goal.
Okay.
I think his body shape was all wrong.
We are in disagreement. Okay.
Yeah. The ball's come across. He's static like a log. It has started with Castagna. That's where goals come. There's always a root cause for me. But I mean, yes, he didn't pick up Murphy, but had his body position been right, that clearance wouldn't have been as abject as it was. And in which case, it wouldn't have mattered, and the ball wouldn't have got to Murphy in the first place. Robinson's been outrageously good this year,
yes.
And if you notice the reaction after the goal, he was fuming because now some could argue he's fuming at the fact that he didn't pick up Murphy, but I think I'm more inclined to think it was because of the clearance. It was half-hearted, and. It goes to show that defensively we are very, very strong, but we can see we can see goals through mistakes.
Yes.
Teams will only take what we give them, and we gave them too much time and space, and then unfortunately they scored. And of course, seeing that ridiculous Jacob Murphy's face smile like a big Cheshire cat annoys me no end.
Come on, he's a good player. He's a nice player.
He
works hard.
He wouldn't be in our 11.
Well, it's interesting. I always wonder how he gets in Newcastle side, but that's what I respect about him is they have all the big money signings and all the hype, and he's someone who's been there he's been there forever. It seems to me, and he consistently plays.
Yes, he does. I was when I saw him running around, I thought, we can't be losing to this lot. We're not losing to this lot. I mean, it's not going to happen. So I was delighted when we got the 2 goals and shut him up and shut the Toon supporters up because they think that the world revolves around their club.
They absolutely do, my friend. They absolutely do.
Yeah, they do. But we're a nice little team. We if there's a disappointment, actually, one thing that I think Newcastle and Fulham do have in common is that against the bigger teams, we punch above our weight. We do.
That's right. That's actually a good point, Giannis. I heard a lot about this, is that they play very well against the big boys.
Well.
And they struggle against teams like us.
That's right. Yeah, the so-called, or the assumed minnows that we are. And, teams like us, Bournemouth are a very good side. I'm not going to take anything.
Bournemouth are very good right now. Let's give them credit. They're very good.
Yeah, very, very good. Or Forest, you know what? You've got to give.
I still think we could take Forest, Giannis. You and I are in agreement on this.
We're beating Forest next week.
They just won 7-0.
It doesn't matter.
They just won 7-0.
No, it doesn't matter. We're going to.
I love Giannis's confidence.
No, we're going to beat them. We're going to do the double on them. We're doing the double on them.
There you go, Giannis. I love it.
That's it. So the Forest, if you're watching, don't bother showing up. Stay up there. Save all your bus bills and what have you. 3 points for us. But FA Cup next week, though. Good chance.
Yes, FA Cup next week.
Yes. So Chris has just corrected me. Yes, FA Cup up at Wigan. So we shall see. But no, I mean both teams punch above the weight, and we were punching above our weight, especially away from home, and
Sure.
we've done the double on them.
Oh, it's wonderful. Yeah, it truly is. Let me ask you this. Just your thoughts about the first half overall.
Well, it could have been better. I still think we looked a little sorry for ourselves after last week. I think that's what it was. It took a week to really get a half to really get going. And the United defeat was really, really disappointing. You could feel, it was like a pin in a balloon. We played well enough to get at least a point, not three, and then they get the jammy Dodgers do it again. They do it again, but then they're losing at the moment to Palace. So lots of fun and games, and when the old saying, when you win, you're never as good as you think you are. And they've probably gone, yeah, we've gone down to the Cottage and got 3 points. We've got Palace next. It should be easy. No game is easy in this division. You don't take anyone for granted, as Newcastle found out yesterday, and United are finding out today. So,
guys, I've got some good news while we're doing this show. It looks like Tottenham just went up 2-0 against Brentford.
The bus stop boys are down to... Oh, and Palace have just scored a second.
My word.
Wow.
My word. Jean-Philippe
Palace have just scored. Oh, wow. This is brilliant. Oh, brilliant. Love it.
Wow, this is some good stuff, but I can hear the yell coming from Max's house. I can hear the yell. So that's a good sign, Max. That's a good sign.
Do you know the Palace? Listen, the fact that we lost both matches to United this season is a disgrace. This is the worst United team I have ever seen in my entire lifetime. And they did a double over us in with 2 85th minute goals.
Oh.
And that will be the forever disgrace of the season that we lost to that terrible team. Terrible.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me just go back to you, Max, as we analyze the first half. I know we talked about the goal, and I want to give you a little bit of a comparison because we talked about how Fulham's goals that they're giving up seem to come from mistakes rather than good play from the opposition. And I think this is a case of it. Well, listen, you got to give credit to Anthony Gordon and how that ended up. But I'm going to go back to the West Ham match where Fulham had control, right? They had control. They were in cruise control up until about the 30th minute. A mistake changed the game. And this happened again. Thankfully, it was just one mistake in this match because we saw a completely different team in the second half. But I find it curious that our mistakes lead to goals, but in this case, we rallied in the second half. But I want to get your thoughts overall in the first half.
Yeah, I mean, I think in away matches, you often just need to get to halftime 0-0. That's the number one result. And don't focus too much on the performance, just focus on the score line, and then you give yourself a chance second half. So I wasn't overly concerned that the fact that we didn't have any cutting edge, because if you keep it close, that's all you can ask for in the first half, and you go chase something second half, as long as you're not behind. Right. I remember last year, Jimenez got sent off within.
That's right.
I mean, it was the first half. I don't remember how early, but the game was essentially done when we had 10 men, and we were on great form then. So compared to last season, I was actually delighted that we finished the half with 11 men on the pitch.
Okay, very good. All right, guys, now we can talk about the real good, which is the second half. So let's now transition, talk about the second half. And Giannis, I'll go to you first. We're going to lead up to talking about the goals. We'll get there, but I just want to talk about the opening stages of the second half. We're already talking about it. Marco said something to the players at the half. It could have been partially tactical, but I think more it was just to stick to the game plan and come out with more purpose, because that's what we saw from the get-go, a lot of purpose. And the one thing that stood out for me, there are many things that stood out, but I'm going to want to mention Emile Smith-Rowe. He stood out. All of a sudden, he has a good amount of space. He comes off with two very good opportunities to score goals, okay? He started off strong, but it wasn't just him. It was just the overall play. They just played with more, as I keep going back to this, purpose, and they were creating opportunities. And the one thing that I also noticed was Jimenez. Jimenez was immense. From the minute the second half began till he was substituted, he was fantastic. Yeah, so I want to talk about the opening stages before we talk about the goals.
We looked a yard quicker in the opening stages of the second half. That's what I thought. Marco's obviously said something at halftime. and it looked as I don't know what others on watching this would think. It looked like Emil pushed up a couple of yards,
Okay.
and all of a sudden he was getting the space, and it looked a little bit tighter in the middle of the park, and all of a sudden we were starting to overrun them. First 10, 12 minutes, I thought we were very, very good, and they looked really, really flat for whatever reason. And then I honestly thought it was a matter of time before we got the equaliser. We certainly deserved it last week. I thought we were going to need a bit of luck just to turn things around. And as it turns out, Jimenez got the goal. But I thought the opening stages in the second half we were excellent.
Okay, over to you, Max. I want to get your thoughts. We're going to talk about the goals coming up, but different Fulham team in the second half. We've already talked about the difference from the first half to the second half. I want to get your thoughts.
Yeah, I think Giannis sums up great. Smith Rowe seemed to have an extra pep in his step, and then we finally were playing with a full complement of footballers instead of having one passenger on the pitch, and I think that makes a big difference for us. Yeah, and I think, again, as I mentioned, the fullbacks started to press up more. Jimenez with the goal obviously dropped deeper, trying to start things. Everyone just seemed more motivated. There's really not much more to say other than we pushed them back, and once they got pushed back, we basically dominated for a period of 20 minutes, which when you're down 1-0 away from home, just really impressive instead of heads dropping.
Mm-hmm.
I totally agree, Max. All right, I'm going to go back to you. Let's talk about the goal from Raul Jimenez. So this starts off, I've been hearing nonstop talk about how great Tonali is, and he's a wonderful player. But his pass is intercepted by Raul Jimenez, who ends up scoring the goal later on. But this was great movement, gets all the way to Anthony Robinson, and then Anthony Robinson crosses it back to Jimenez, who puts it in the back of the net. I believe Traore was involved as well. But this is a team goal. Let's talk about the goal.
Great team goal. One of the best goals he scored all season, arguably. The way Jimenez steps to this ball, you think it was Anthony Robinson. Because this is the thing Anthony Robinson does better than anyone else in the league, I think, is anticipate that square pass.
That's a great take. That's a great take.
I'm glad just have acceleration. But it was our striker. It was Jimenez. And
yes, it wasn't Robinson.
Yeah, it wasn't. He can bring that aggression to the table. He's not too proud to track back, and he's really deep though. I mean, he's playing left wing in this scenario, and ends up scoring it some 60, 70 yards down the pitch. I love what he did to unleash Traore. I already talked about Traore's pass earlier. Yep. I think his find of Robinson is just superb, and it goes against what people criticize Traore for, which is lack of end product. He actually has a great eye for a pass and can slow down an attack. It's what he did last season at Old Trafford, and he does it really well there yesterday. Robinson, great cushioned assist. A lot of Robinson's assists I have a real issue with because it's actually just him passing the ball to a player, a 5-yard pass, and the player goes and does something special. This was actually an assist, which he deserves to have an assist next to his name. And Jimenez actually he hits it well in terms of he keeps it cushioned and on target, but it's not going in. And Jacob Murphy deflects it past Dubravka. And we're a bit fortunate in that sense. But as you said, why don't we deserve the luck when United scores a lucky deflected goal? When West Ham gets lucky? Why not us? So great goal, came at a great time. And, we finally capitalized on a period of pressure.
Okay, very good. All right. Before we talk about the match winner from Rodrigo Muniz, Giannis, I want to go back to you. I want to talk about Anthony Gordon because there's been a lot of talk about Kavanaugh not calling a foul on Andreas Pereira. Now, I've watched this back a few times, okay? I think he dives. Okay, that's just my opinion. You know how I feel about diving, but I could make also the argument that maybe, and I didn't get a good look on this, that potentially Pereira dives to win Fulham a set piece as well. But what are your thoughts about this? Because I've seen a lot of talk about Anthony Gordon, that they should have gotten a set piece here, a free kick. What are your thoughts?
Wow to Newcastle. Honestly, no. It's to me, it's a Gordon dive. It's not the first time he's done it. It won't be the last. Kavanagh's done the right thing there. He's made the right call, and we capitalised from it. They can talk all they want about the free kick, but the free kick still gives you the opportunity to defend it, and they didn't defend it. No. So that's it. That was the end of that. I mean, you talk all you want about whether it should have been a free kick or not, but to me, it was a free kick, and we punished them accordingly.
Okay. And I'll go to you. I'll give you the honors to talk about the winning goal from Rodrigo Muniz, set up obviously from a very good delivery from Andreas Pereira. Yes, I'm giving Andreas Pereira a lot of credit. Okay. Giannis, let's talk about the winning goal.
Fantastic free kick. Absolutely top draw, wonderful free kick. The spin and the revolutions on the ball. And to be fair, it really wasn't that much of a. It was like a 5-yard run. He's cut in and deft little toe poke into the net. Nobody picked him up. It was brilliant. I think it was symptomatic of Newcastle's demise in the second half. They came out flat in the second half, and they really weren't. Apart from Isak's crossbar shot, I didn't think they were really ever in the game. And it's nice to create from set pieces. Pereira deserves an awful lot of credit for this because, again, the spin, superb, absolutely superb.
Okay, excellent. All right, guys, we do have to get things moving a little bit quicker. Mr. Cohen has to leave us in a few minutes, so I want to go to you, Max. I want to go right to you. Giannis and I will continue on for just a few more minutes. Give me your man of the match before you go.
I think man of the match. Ooh, it's a tough one because I think the central midfielders are excellent. I thought Troy was really good, but I'm gonna go with Jimenez, as a lot of the people said in the Fulham official vote, because the way he started that first goal and ended it was just excellent, and he had other chances throughout the match, really tireless stuff. So delighted for him. At the ground where he got sent off in the first half, he ends up playing up the role in the win a year later. So Raul Jimenez for me.
Okay, excellent. All right, Max, thank you so much for joining Giannis and myself, and we'll see you soon, hopefully.
Yeah, always great to be on, guys. Great to do after a win. Let's see what happens next week in the Cup, and then Forest at home. So exciting time to be a Fulham fan.
Okay, excellent. All right, well
See you guys.
that was Max Cohen. Thank you, Max. Thank you very much. Okay, so Giannis, you and I will finish up. We have a lot of people commenting on man of the match. Before I go to you, I'm just going to share some comments. Okay, so let's go to Sahel. Says Jimenez man of the match. Let's see what else we got. Oh, I'm just going to share a bunch of comments. Yes, Brantford won. Steve goes actually with Berga man of the match. I went with Lukic last night, so I'm not going to change my mind. I know that's maybe many won't say Lukic. We haven't really talked about him, but I thought between the two of them, they were dominants. But I understand why Steve's going with Berga. I understand why everyone's going with Raul. I'm throwing in a name that many are not discussing, Lukic. So who's your man of the match?
Raul. He was superb, especially second half. The guy never ever stops working. He's absolutely tireless, to be sure, and he just fully deserved the goal as well. So it was, for me, it's
Raul. Let me ask you, Giannis. We are a little over maybe 36 hours or less than that in the transfer window. I've been clamoring for the Mitro replacement. Okay, I know it's not going to happen. These two guys, I see them as complements to each other. They both offer something, Rodrigo, and then you have obviously Raul. So if you're Fulham, would you even consider it at the end of the window if, say, a striker becomes available? Would you do it?
No, too expensive. I mean, we need to get a replacement to help out with Timothy in terms of Tete. I don't know what Reece Nelson's timetable looks like. Obviously, we've lost Harry for 10 weeks.
Yeah.
If we can get a wide midfielder, certainly. But apart from that, don't break the bank. Get a loan signing in. There's no reason why we can't do that. I think we were linked to a Turkish fella, Çelik.
Yep, I saw that.
So let's see if that comes through. But no, I wouldn't break the bank. Let's wait till the summer where players become a lot more affordable. You got to remember, the PFP, FFP, and the fair play issues. We've got to make sure we stick within that. So I'd keep everything as is unless we can get a wide midfielder in.
Okay, I'm just sharing some more comments. Colin Bugler says Jimenez, man of the match. Robinson needs a mention. after his 10th assist of the season. Very good there, calm. I do want to mention this because our friend Chris Goodwin asked me this question, and I'm going to say, Chris, no, and here are my reasons for it. I would have said it this summer, but not now because, one, the position that he plays, there's no room to bring back Fabio Carvalho. So I'm not bringing him back. I'm done with trying to talk about bringing him back. Plus, we have Josh King, and I think Josh King's going to end up being the better player than Fabio Carvalho, Giannis. And listen, we've watched a lot of Fabio, but I've already said this. I want Marco to play Josh King more because I think Josh King has a tremendous future. We've seen a lot come through the academy. We've talked about Sess. Obviously, Sess is back. There are so many. There's something a little bit different about Josh King. And I just think that he will be that number 10. I think that's going to be his position, Giannis. I want to get your thoughts on Josh King.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't want to see Fabio anywhere near Craven Cottage unless he's playing for that lot down the road, the bus stop boys. And Josh King, I think, certainly deserves a chance. It's about time.
Yeah.
Marshall Gordo as well deserves a shot. Cup game next week. This is a good chance to rest some of your regulars.
Yep.
Bring in Issa Diop, bring in Cuenca, bring
Yeah.
in Sess, bring in Gordo, bring in King. These are all good players, and let's take them up to the northwest, see if we can get a win up there. Give crucial players like Iwobi a break. Fabio, no thanks.
Okay, excellent. All right. Giannis, great show. We are going to wrap up this show. Just I want to get your final thoughts before we finish up.
Super win. Nice to beat the Toon Army. Haha, we did the double on them.
Okay, very good. And thank you very much for that comment, my friend. And I thought this was a great show. And it's always great doing a show after a win, Giannis. I actually I don't really have an issue doing a show after a loss because I think it's therapeutic, but it's so much better after a win like this.
Oh, big time.
And,
especially when Brentford lose and United lose at the same time. I'm just saying, this is just perfect.
It is. And
what a good weekend.
Before we go, because I have such a live audience, we've got 303 people watching live with us, which is great.
Hurrah.
So thank you, everyone watching live. I do want to mention this again, whether you're watching us on X, if you could subscribe on the YouTube channel, I would really appreciate that. If you're not watching live there, please do subscribe. It doesn't cost anything to subscribe on the YouTube channel. So please do subscribe. I would really appreciate that. Okay. Well, that's going to do it for Giannis Shanaeus, and Max Cohen dropped off a little bit earlier, but it's great to have Max on. So for Giannis and Max, I'm Russ Goldman. Thank you as always for watching and listening to Cottage Talk, part of the Talk Sport Fan Network.
Bye.